Wastelanders. It's Jewelsmith, playing Fallout 4, where I am Fiona, General of the Minutemen, and with me as always is my obsession, Hancock. We are here in Far Harbor. I am continuing my settlement tour series. We have toured almost all of the mainland settlements. The only one left would be the Vault Tech Workshop settlement, Vault 88. We'll do that one a little bit later. But right now we are going to tour the first settlement that I unlocked in the Far Harbor expansion, and that would be Longfellow's Island. Now, I unlocked that by coming here to Far Harbor and doing some little main story things here and meeting Longfellow. He was in the bar back there, the last plank. And after going with him, I think it's called a walk in the park. You have to go and talk to him, and then he'll take you to Acadia.
Big shop's got everything you need.
And then you got to get some whiskey for him.
You ain't on.
Or you get some whiskey and then he takes you to Acadia, something like that. Anyway, after you've done that with him, then you can talk to him and you will get Longfellow's Island, which is where his home is, but you can fix it up into a settlement. And I think for most players, that's the first settlement they get in Far Harbor. Might even be the only settlement they get. But we will go over here. Longfellow's Island
every day, another harbor
is right there. Somebody's got some soap in a bucket out here to take a bath on the edge of the pier. Now, there's kind of a little rocky walkway over there that you can walk across from the abandoned part of the town. Yeah, there it is. You can walk across that little kind of rocky area here, sandy, rocky area. You can walk across between the town and his island. Ooh. But there's also a lot of fog, and the fog can do damage to you here in Far Harbor. But anyway, so we'll walk through here. So there's a couple ways to approach. See, I'm taking a little bit of radiation there. You can approach through here up into the settlement, or as a lot of enemies seem to do, they approach from over here up into the settlement. And usually when I'm in Far Harbor, like I did, I'll just jump into the water and swim over and come up right here. It is a pretty good sized settlement, I gotta tell you. I've read online that it's about the third of the size of Spectacle Island. So there's a lot of area to build. Now in Far Harbor you have to contend with the fog. So they have these things called fog condensers that keep the evil fog at bay. And sometimes you can harvest oil, I think, from these. So that oily stuff going in there. And occasionally the fog condensers will go down and they have to be repaired. And if you're busy repairing them, then horrible, nasty monsters will creep out and attack you. But anyway, as long as those condensers are working, it should keep the fog at bay and your settlement will be fine. Now, usually, if you've watched any of my settlement tour videos before, you'll know that I often surround my settlements with a wall. I didn't do that here because I felt that it was a a fairly technical, defensible place. It's got these big stone, you know, boulders around it, sort of a natural barrier around the perimeter of the island. I've put several turrets, these defensive turrets all along the rocks here. So it's kind of got its own natural border of defense, so I didn't bother. I'm gonna get stuck out here. I didn't bother putting up more of a wall around it. It's got the water on this side, and again, even on this side, it's got... Now, we were just attacked before I started streaming. We were attacked by trappers. Ooh, I didn't loot those trappers.
No real living. Not like this.
I'll take that leg. I can scrap it. Anyway. Not that it really matters at this point. I've done pretty much everything there is to do in this game. I don't know what level I am now. Level 130 something or other. Anyway. But see, there's rocks all around this side as well. And we were attacked on this side, so they all spawned along the water. And then I had a couple of turrets there, and a guard post there, and another turret there. And between that and the settlers themselves, we took care of them very quickly. Not a problem. But again, lots of trees here. You can scrap the trees for lots of wood, just like on Spectacle Island. I've left several of the trees up, however. I just think the island looks nicer that way, with lots of trees. I mean, I've scrapped several of them, but I've left several as well. Now you can link, let me show you. You can link the Far Harbor settlements on the island with your settlements in the Commonwealth. If you assign a provisioner to go between, say I've got a provisioner going between Longfellow's Cabin and the coastal cottage on the mainland. And so all of my provisions, all of my supplies that are in my workshops of all the various settlements in the Commonwealth, that pool of resources is also linked to all of my settlements here. And so I have provisioners going between the Visitor Center and Longfellow's Cabin, and between Dalton Farm and the Visitor Center, and then between Dalton Farm and Echo Lake Lumber. And those are the only settlements in Far Harbor that I am aware of that I have been able to unlock or find out any information about online. There doesn't seem to be anything else. Now, there are several locations that I think would make potentially good settlements. There's even a drive-in movie theater here in Far Harbor, just like Starlight Drive-In on the mainland in the Commonwealth. But it's not a settlement, unfortunately. And there don't seem to be any other settlements on this island. Not without mods or being on PC, I guess. But anyway, so I have been able to benefit from using a lot of the supplies and materials that are in the Commonwealth. And of course, if I scrap all this wood, that wood would benefit people in the Commonwealth as well. Alright, so here in Longfellow's settlement, and there's old Longfellow right there. Hey, Pop. I like to consider him my adopted dad in the game. I don't know why, I just love him. I love him to pieces. I think it's all the little Irish songs that he sings, and the fact that he loves to drink whiskey. And he's just cool. And I did get the top affinity with him and get his perk. But this is the original cabin that he has when you come to the island. He has this cabin here. And then he has this little workshop right behind his cabin. Those are structures that cannot be scrapped. See, it doesn't give me the option of scrapping them. Though I could, if I wanted to, you know, scrap things that are around them. Or build around them, or build off of them, or whatever it is. See, so you see the area here. I mean, you can't even see the green. You can barely see the green border. It is a big area to build with. Anyway, so what I did was, of course, I can't do anything with, you know, Pop's stuff, so I left it there. And then I started building around it. I gave him a toilet, of course, and I put up some lights. Now, yes, you can build power generators here, and it's very foggy and very dark and very atmospheric here. And so if you wanted to, you could put up street lights and power lights and all of that. But I have found that the electrical lighting, well, one, it doesn't seem to work very well in the dark fog. And two, I kind of like the ambiance, if you will. I like the dark and fogginess of this place. So I went with lanterns for a lot of my light here. All right, but Pop's house, I brought him a dog. Erickson here in Far Harbor sells dogs, so I got Pop a dog. The dog's name is Lemon. I didn't name the dog. The dog came named Lemon, but I thought that this would be a good place for Lemon because Pop likes whiskey, and it made me think of whiskey sours. So we brought Lemon here to help guard Pop's place. And this is inside his house. Now, originally, why is this on the floor? You guys gotta stop leaving junk on the floor. Originally, the table was in the middle of the room, and there were some other things around the perimeter, but I rearranged. This is Pop's bed, and Pop's stuff, and then Pop's old lady. There was an old lady that showed up to be a settler, and I figured, you know, she could be Pop's old lady, so I gave her a bed in here. I gave him a nice cook stove. I left in his sink. I didn't trash that. Yeah, I gave him some storage. Lots of bottles of Vim. Some dog food, pork and beans and whatnot. Goodies. Whiskey, of course. Pop loves his whiskey. I bring him lots of yummy things to eat. Now, I would probably display it all on the shelf and everything, but as you may know from watching my other videos or from playing this game yourself, there seems to be some kind of bug where things fall through the shelves. So I've taken to just storing things instead of displaying them, which is kind of a bummer, but that's the way it goes. Alright, so then oh, sorry, John. You gotta use the head. Alright. So back here behind Pop's place, I put an armor workbench. This is where the workshop is. So this is also where I store a lot of things on the island. I used Longfellow's Island as my recruitment center for the Far Harbor area. You'll know maybe if you watch some of my other videos like Bunker Hill and Starlight Drive-In that I used those locations as central recruitment and equipment areas. I would take everything that I scavenged in the game, you know, all the weapons, clothing, you know, armor, etc., that I would give to my settlers, and I would store it in one place. I would recruit people to that one place, and then from there I would outfit them and send them off to other settlements. And that's the same thing I did here. Got a weapons workbench. Got my power armor station here. And this is the power armor that I wore when I came over here to Far Harbor, because there is so much fog and because I didn't have the perks to help protect me from the radiation, which I have those perks now, so I don't worry so much about the fog when I'm here. but that's my power armor station. And then something that I did around Far Harbor was I built these little walkways to kind of even out the ground, because as you'll see here, you know, there's some rocks. It's very rocky. It's very uneven. So I would build these little walkways. Now this ramp and this wooden boardwalk here is part of the settlement. It's here, and I don't think it can be scrapped. Yeah, no, so you can't scrap it. But it has areas that are messed up, like this area here underneath that. So there's big, you can kind of see there's big holes underneath. So in a few spots I covered it over and patched it up a little bit, and I put lampposts along the boardwalk. This settlement, it does not have a powered water purifier. I think it's mostly all just water pumps, because I don't think it says it has 9 power. Where's the power at? I think it's over in the hospital. I think oh right, I have this generator. I have a wind turbine running some power to the medical center here. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so there's not a lot of power here. Like I said, I like to have it, I like the oil lamps and the dark, foggy feel to this place. But you see, here's another place where I built a ramp so you could walk up here easier. And out in front, there's a campfire. So down here is where I started building a little farm for food for the settlement. And we have several people, several settlers working there farming. We had a cow wander in, so I built a feed trough. I put the bell to call all the settlers right here under the trees. And then I gradually started building all of these little cabins around. Why is that water pump so close to the horse? Or the cow, the Brahmin. Oh well. I thought usually I put them closer to the houses, but okay, that's fine. It looks like it got moved. Here, let me move it. I want to move it down closer to the house. There we go. Like each house has their own little water pump. Anyway, little cooking stove here. Lots of fish racks, lots of fishing going on. But I built these little houses, and this is from the, well, they call it the barn, but let's look here, the barn structures that was added by Far Harbor expansion. Yeah, barn structures, which are similar to the warehouse structures, only they're red instead of blue. But it's a fact that, I mean, I had a friend that went up to Massachusetts and New England, and she took pictures of some of the buildings up there, and they really do look like this. I mean, it was kind of weird. I was like, oh my God, it looks just like in Far Harbor. But yeah, I mean, you can use barn structures to build barns. There are pieces to do barns, and I've done a few in some of my other settlements. And you'll see some more barns in some of the Far Harbor settlements, like Dalton Farm. I built a big barn out there. And Nuka World, the one Nuka World settlement, I built a big barn there too. But like as far as little cabins too, I mean, that's an actual thing. I have seen in pictures places that look just like this. So I used them to build these little cabins, and this is where the settlers all live. Are in these little cabins. Well, they have nothing in their suitcase. Let's give them some goodies. What would they have in their suitcase? Let's see. How about some buff out? Yeah. That's kind of like aspirin, right? And some gumdrops. Let's give them some gumdrops. There we go. Oh, yeah. See, they've got some buff out on the shelf right there. Alright, so here's one little cabin. Oh, and it is powered, so there is some light inside, but you'll see that Even with the light bulb, which is one of the brightest light sources in the game, at least as far as I can tell, it's still kind of dark in here. Kind of dim. But I do have the wind turbine powering some lights over here. Here's another little cabin. They've got a little stove instead of having to cook outside there. Down here, I did something which is similar to what I did at the lighthouse on the mainland. I have a couple of settlers who look like they are fishermen.
Whatever.
But since you can't actually assign them to fish, see there's a fishing pole and a basket of fish and a fishing drying rack. Since you can't actually assign them to fish, what I do is I plant gourds. You can see some gourds planted around here. There's a gourd.
Seems to be growing well.
Which looks a little similar to seaweed, in my opinion. So it makes it look like they're down here, you know, doing things along the water. Have a lobster trap there and a basket of fish. But, you know, they're not actually fishing, but in my mind, that's what they're doing. They're fishing for food. That boat there is not part of the settlement. If I go into workshop mode, see the border of the settlement is right where that gourd is. So you can't go onto the boat and do anything with it as part of the settlement. You can't scrap it or build upon it or put a bed on it or do anything with it. It's just there. See, he's another one of the fishermen. Hey, dude. And here's part of the boardwalk. I guess I need to repair this part too. But I have a guard out here.
I can take it.
He's wearing... Hey, dude.
Let's trade some things.
Let's look at your armor. He is wearing the Assault Marine armor, which, if I remember correctly, it's been a little while. It's been some months because I stopped playing Fallout and started playing Skyrim, as many of you probably know. I think this was the armor that... Well, if you're friends with the Children of Adam, you can sometimes buy some pieces of this armor from one of their shopkeepers, I think. But you can also do a little side quest where you go around underwater and find a bunch of like sunken ships or something and find the pieces of this armor. I think that's how I got this armor. Anyway, I put it on him. It's pretty cool. And he's got this really cool legendary powerful type item. Does double damage if the target is at full health. So I gave him a really nice harpoon gun and a backup pistol in case he needed it. But anyway, I don't know why he has a fisherman's cap. You don't need that fisherman's cap. So he's one of my guards here.
No wonder you wiped out those crabs.
Alright, so here's the little boardwalk. Now, you can scrap this fencing, but if you replace it, there's not really anything similar to replace it with. I used some of the shack balcony railings to kind of fill in a few of the empty spots, but I left this fencing. Put a few park benches. And it really is pretty here when the sun is coming up and it's not as foggy and you have a beautiful view of Far Harbor. It's really nice. But then along the boardwalk, I built some shops. So we have a weapons merchant here. And you'll see there's also some electricity. There's a little bit of electricity, but the light just doesn't seem to be as bright here in Far Harbor. This is the weapons merchant's shop. She doesn't have anything in her suitcase either. But she has a nice little place. There's a pole hook and a butcher's hook. That's a couple of the weapons I think that were added by Far Harbor. And then next door to her we have the general goods trader. They both look like the exact same settler. And in fact, I think if you look very carefully around my settlements...
I hope you can help.
Uh-oh, you having a problem? Oh, was it the trapper attack? Yeah, there was a trapper attack. I gotta go take care of the trapper headquarters or whatever you want to call it. Let's look here. Yeah, see, trapper attack. I already killed all those trappers along the beach that I showed you, but now I've got to go track them down where they come from and kill them yet again, because I seem to have to do that like a million times here in Far Harbor. But anyway, this particular settler model, the brunette here with the heavy eyeliner, she shows up a lot, and I think I've got like in my Far Harbor settlements probably 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or something of her, and I keep trying to put them in different types of clothes and make them look different from each other. But yeah, not really a very diverse looking group. I don't know if these are all supposed to be synths or they're all sisters or what the deal is. But anyway, so here's the general goods store. She's got a bunch of stuff, and of course it's falling through the world. Let's put it back on the shelf. John, did you see him run through? What are you doing, John? Vim is the soda added by Far Harbor. There is a Vim factory here on Far Harbor that you can discover. And there are Vim vending machines. And then upstairs, we have a hair salon. Hello there, barber lady. She lives back here. And the shopkeeper down below lives up here. And we've got a couple of more beds back here. Behind the storefronts. And over here is the bar. I'm using some of those glowing bottles from the Children of Adam. Those are another settlement element that are added by the Far Harbor expansion. There's another one. There's my bartender. And there's a Vim machine. It looks like a Nuka-Cola machine, only slightly different colors, and it says Vim. And there's various varieties of Vim. There's a Vim Refresh that's green, a Vim Quartz that's white. I think there's one of those over here. That's the white one, the glowing white one. And there's a purple, which is called Captain's Blend. And you can see those throughout my other settlements. So there's the building along the boardwalk. And these floats, these fishing floats, those are added by Far Harbor, the Far Harbor expansion. You can put them all over walls. You'll see them all over my Far Harbor settlements. See, I've got a little generator back here that's going, keeping some of the power going. Got a little light bulb in there and whatnot. So that's the back side of those shops. And then there's this little shop here. This is the tailor or clothing vendor. That's the marine wetsuit on display. That's an item you can get in Far Harbor. She doesn't actually sleep in here. I could have put a bed in here, but then I kind of thought, you know, if I were her, I don't know if I would want to be spending my evenings sleeping right on the edge of the water like that, away from everyone else. So I just imagine this is her shop during the day, but when she sleeps at night, she wants to be cozy, safe and sound, sleeping in one of these cabins with some other people nearby. Even though she does have a turret and a guard right nearby, but I didn't give her a bed. In here, I gave her a table to work at, and a dresser to store things in, some more mannequins on display, wearing some of the various fishing outfits, and a little dressing room. Oh, hey John, are you trying on clothes? A little dressing room back here to try on clothes. And John is checking it out. And then this comes back around to where I was before when I showed you. There's Longfellow's cabin. And we went inside those cabins, right? Yeah, we took a look in there. We took a look in there. There's the farm. Sorry it's so dark. It just gets so dark here so quickly. Well, it's 6 p.m. now. So here's another cabin. Three beds, table. Nothing fancy. There are 20 people living in this settlement. So lots of cabins, lots of beds, lots of defense. There's a defense score of over 200. Yeah, 211. This is where the scavenger lives. He does have power, electricity, because he's right next to the medical center. I built the medical center and the scavenger's house. I think probably those were some of the first buildings I built. And I was gonna put the scavenger's house right here, or I did put the scavenger's house right here, but then this seems to be where enemies like to spawn, so I kept getting trappers and monsters spawning right inside the scavenger's house and making a giant mess, and it was driving me crazy, so I moved the scavenger's house over here. But there's the scavenging station. And I would have a lot more junk on display there, except for, as I mentioned, it loves to fall through the world. So just pretend that is covered with tools and junk. Oh, giddy up buttercup and a tool chest. And then here at the doctor's, I put a cook station outside because I figured if the doctor wanted to be able to boil water and wash their hands and stuff and wash out bandages or whatnot, they would need something like that. I have a chem station in here. I have some hospital beds, lots of chems and medical goodies. Oh, a comfy pillow for the patients. Oh, a microscope. More chems and goodies. I have a doctor. This is one case where I did use one of the nicer countertops and not the old rickety wooden version. Hey Doc, there's Doc's table or desk. Sure. Alright, so we have a little medical center out here at Longfellow's Cabin. I think that's everything here except for, let me show you, as I often do in many of my settlements, I have a place for John and I to live. And this is our little house back here. Now in some of my settlements we have a room or a mattress thrown in a corner somewhere. Like at Sunshine Tidings Co-op, I have a little mattress thrown in the back of my robot workshop, and that's where I imagine that we would sleep when we're visiting Sunshine. But when we're visiting Longfellow's Cabin, this is where we stay. And I have my collection of garden gnomes Yes, Far Harbor brought back the garden gnomes from Fallout New Vegas. Oh, and John is inviting us inside. Thank you, my dear. And here we are. This is our house on Far Harbor. Well, one of our houses. We also have a place that we crash at Echo Lake Lumber sometimes. We'll see that in another settlement tour when I tour Echo Lake Lumber. For a candlelit bath. We have lots of decorations inside here. Little glowing bottles and lamps. There's another garden gnome. Have our goodies, our Rataway and our Mentats and our bourbon. And more goodies in here for us. Oh, John's radium rifle. Yeah, he really loved using that rifle for a while, but then I found another one. I think it's his kneecapper one that he's using now. Hey, sweetheart.
Hey. Shoot. Sure, check the stash.
What you got on you? My darling. Yeah, now he likes his kneecapper. He's got lots of other things, though, too. All kinds of legendary items that I've modified and given to him. Oh, we should put up our lucky baton. I'll take that from you, my dear. Oh, December's Child and Dima's Gun. I don't think it was called Dima's Gun in the game. I think I named it that after I took it from Dima. But December's Child is a gun that you can find here in Far Harbor in the course of the Far Harbor questline. And now, I don't think that I did most of my Far Harbor playthrough. Yeah, I don't think I streamed that. I streamed all of my Nuka World playthrough, but I didn't stream my Far Harbor playthrough. So I don't want to give any spoilers, but, you know, things happened, decisions were made. And yeah, so I ended up with Dima's Gun. And I feel kind of bad about that. I feel kind of bad about the way things ended up. But I had to do what I had to do. If you don't want spoilers for Far Harbor, you can skip ahead or plug your ears or whatever. But I really didn't like the fact that I found out what Dima had done, even though, you know, he felt bad about doing it and had removed his memories and whatnot, but it just wasn't right. And the things that I was asked to do, I mean, there were ways that I could have resolved the problems on Far Harbor and still kept Dima alive and still helped the people of Far Harbor, but I didn't want to do those things. Those things seemed to me to be evil and underhanded, and, you know, basically I was expected to do things the way the Institute would have done them, by replacing certain people with synths and being okay with that and yada yada, and I just wasn't going to do it. So Dima ended up dead in my game. But the synths are still okay. They're at Arcadia, and the people of Far Harbor are safe. And the children of Adam are still alive. So, much similarly to the way I dealt with the main quest line with the Minutemen versus the Brotherhood versus the Railroad, and everyone in my game is still alive. I tried to do the same thing here at Far Harbor, but it meant sacrificing Dima. So, anyway, that's what happened. But I have Dima's Gun, and I have December's Child there on display. Is that whiskey? Yeah. Alright, so that's our house. Hey, there's another one of my guards. I gave all the guards big harpoon guns. And now you can see what it looks like at night. Everybody's probably gonna gather around the bar as they do at quitting time. You see the nice row of lanterns, oil lamps going down there. Very dark and atmospheric. I love it. There's a little stepway down here and another another outhouse here for the residents. So there you go. Oh, you cooking dinner? Is it dinner time? You're not going to go hang out at the bar? That is Longfellow's Cabin, or Longfellow's Island, here in Far Harbor. This is what I've done with it. I put a big Marler queen claw up there as decoration. Yeah, for Pop. Pop loves that. So there you go. You gonna sit with me, John? Sit by the fire? Nope. The clothing vendor's gonna sit with me. Okay, how you doing? So there you go. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed the tour. I think the next place I will tour... I'm trying to remember which one I unlocked next. I think I ended up unlocking Dalton Farm next. And then the Visitor Center. And then Echo Lake Lumber. But I will probably go to National Park Visitor Center next. Well, let's see. It says in the date it's December 23rd. I actually want to go to Diamond City on Christmas Day in a couple of days. But anyway, and then my Echo Lake Lumber down here has a Christmas tree farm to show you. But anyway, yeah, I think the next settlement we'll tour will be the National Park Visitors Center. So, we'll see you next time. Bye!